Cancel.
Schweezy.
All right, so I am rewatching all of the 2021 live-action Marvel Disney Plus shows, and I am starting with WandaVision. So, I initially with all these shows I'm going to talk about over the course of time, I've watched all these shows week to week, and I'm wanting to see if these shows are better or worse when you're able to sit down and binge watch them in like a sitting or a couple sittings, better than week by week. So when WandaVision was initially airing, I was just like every week I was really frustrated because it didn't seem like much was happening episode to episode. And then by the time you get to the episode, it's leaving on this cliffhanger, and you just be annoyed with the cliffhanger because like nothing happened the entire episode. Now finally something is happening, episode's over. And then you get to the next week's episode, and it's just kind of fell short of like the cliffhanger they were trying to set up, and it just didn't seem like it was really that important to begin with. And like the show, like nothing happens really in the show until episode 4. They were like, oh, now we finally have an explanation of what's going on. I think it would have been a little bit better maybe if they ended episode 2 with that, and and then they finally got into all the other shit, like that. It just suffered a lot like the way South Park season 20 cast over, because they ended every episode with a cliffhanger, but then they set up for the cliffhanger, and then they didn't really follow through very well with it, and so it's just kind of the episode fell flat in regards to that. So I feel like the cliffhangers really didn't help it out, and especially then you're like, oh, I have to wait another week, and then like the week, okay, let's finally see what happened, and then it was just, didn't really matter at all. And they also kind of did really bad on building up characters or like surprise cameos. They're trying to build something up to be really cool, and it just kind of ended up being really nothing. And Paul Bettany originally, when the show was coming out, he's like, there's a surprise cameo from an actor I've always wanted to work with, and I think we work really well together. And it ended up being him or Spectral Vision in the show, which it was fine. Like, it was a good joke, and at least it set up something cool, like a cool different kind of character in regards to it. But then there's also like, who's the villain all along behind this? And, you kind of like, oh, it was Agatha all along. And then you're like, is Agatha working for someone else? And, like, they kind of set it up like she was working with someone else. Ended up being nothing. And the worst one was Monica Rambeau set up, like, in the episode. It's like, oh, I have an astrophysicist friend that's going to help me out, and we're going to do that. And, like, they set it up to be, like, this big cameo. Like, ooh, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? And a lot of people are guessing, like, maybe it's Blue Marvel, or maybe it's Reed Richards. And like some people are even like, well, maybe he could even be just like a Skrull. Maybe someone she was friends with when she was a kid. They set up in Captain Marvel. And it just turned out to be fucking nobody. Like, nobody. And that's what people complained with, like, Zack Snyder Justice League or Batman, Superman, and movies, is that they would like make these like villains, like, beginning of Justice League, like the people trying to like rob that museum or whatever, like they were nobody, like, and people were complaining like, why don't you just make it like a small time character from the comics or whatever, instead of just being nobody, because you have this whole arsenal of characters you could use, and it just ended up being nobody. And I don't know, this astrophysicist just ended up being nobody, and honestly, it would have been really cool. Like, I think they should have just went with a Skrull, and set up like that, or they could, when the Skrull would have been cool. It may have been too soon for Reed Richards. I think people are just like waiting for like the Fantastic Four and the X-Men references in the MCU, but I kind of feel like they didn't start planning for it until they finally got the approval, or the deal kind of finally went through on that. That's when they waited. That's when they finally made that deal. And so I wasn't expecting too much Reed Richards. Blue Marvel maybe I was expecting, but I was kind of guessing it was going to be a Skrull. And ended up not being a Skrull at all. It was nothing. It was nobody. They set everything up. Ooh, astrophysicist. Who could it be? And believe it or not, it's no one. And so kind of let me down there. So as a week by week show, I would say of all the ones that came out in 2021, the live action, I would say this one is by far the weakest of all of them. It was clearly written really well, designed really well. I love the way they use like practical effects, like in the first episode, they're kind of mimicking Dick Van Dyke or something like that, or I Love Lucy, and like Bewitched, the plate like came towards Vision's head and like broke. They could have used CGI, but they didn't use like more like practical effects that they did use back then. I thought that was really cool. But like it was more or less designed to be one to be sat down and binged. But when they were releasing it week by week, it just, I mean, like I appreciated all like the references to like, I Love Lucy, The Dick Van Dyke Show, Brady Bunch, Full House, Family Matters. I appreciated all that, but at the same time, you kind of want something to be going on. Like that's why you kind of watch these movies, and that's why. And that's kind of what I think some problems with the Netflix shows, because there's a lot more talking and nothing than actual cool stuff going on. I mean, obviously, Marvel shows are really cool, not including Iron Fist. But, yeah. And so, like, honestly, I like WandaVision a lot, but out of all the other ones, I'm going to have to say this is probably my least favorite Marvel show that's came out. But, I mean, there's a lot of things I really did like about it. One, I would say the 10-year-old, the kids who played 10-year-old Billy and Tommy, I thought they were phenomenal. I was like, kid actors, I wonder if they're going to be doing much. Because, they're obviously supposed to be Wicked and Speed. And then, like, I think when they did the Malcolm in the Middle episode, they actually had, like, significant roles. And they were, like, terrific. And so I hope they don't recast them whenever they finally get around to making a Young Avengers project. That's just me. That's who I am. And
this is the type of guy you get.
I think, yeah, like I said, like I said before, the way they parodied time period television was really great. Opting for like more practical effects over CGI was really cool in regards to the parody like that. And, overall, I think it's made Marvel YouTubers and podcasters obviously make a lot better predictions on what's going on in all these TV shows. And so, yeah, because like now they're not like, because after Mephisto, like everyone thought it was gonna be Mephisto, and they're like, there's hexagons on the blanket. Is that Mephisto watching the entire time? And everyone's making like good actual guesses on what's going on. They're just not like hitting it out in left field like with these guesses, or make practical ideas on what's gonna happen next and stuff like that. And so you get to like Hawkeye, Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. There's a lot of good guesses and a lot of good ideas, like who could be them, a lot of good guesses now, and people aren't just like making up random ass fucking shit now. And I think that started with Age of Ultron, and now it's finally ending. I think it finally ended with WandaVision. So luckily for you, every episode of WandaVision is out now on Disney Plus. So if you haven't watched it, I will say go watch it. It is a terrific show. I'm just saying though, since they did release it week by week, and it's not necessarily a good show designed for a week by week. It's definitely designed to be like sat down, consumed in large chunks in the way you would like to do it, not having to wait an entire week for something that's just going to let you down over at the end in one sitting. So that's my thoughts on WandaVision. Hopefully I will get to Falcon and the Winter Soldier very soon. So that's where you're going to have to subscribe to the show. That's the way it is. Hey, you just finished one of the many highlights from Cancel Schweezy. We got plenty more on the channel, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, and if you like what you just watched, go ahead and smash that like button as well. Go subscribe for more so we can teach you how to be a better human in our world. So, yeah, stay awesome.